Hey, welcome or welcome back. This is Zangler, the Tesla Semi Advocate, bringing you a drone video of the Tesla high volume semi factory shot on June 24th, 2026. And I already posted a video of the short range refreshed Atlas Semi yesterday, and now is the rest of the video. That was actually just a squirrel hunt, one of the famous squirrel hunts. What I'm showing you here is I had to relocate my drone takeoff and landing location due to that second Milan twin commercial building they've started on it, and we can keep track of that progress as we go. The first Milan twin building, I believe, is entirely leased by Tesla, possibly for the semi program to store supplier parts and or raw materials. And I say that because there's Tesla semis going in and out. So here we are. We just drove by the guard gate, and last time we flew a little over a week ago, we saw 6 Tesla semis, and I have no way of knowing if these are replacement semis and those 6 that we saw last week have been moved or not necessarily delivered. I believe that they're going to deliver the first handful of Tesla semis to themselves for endurance testing, for other engineering work like crash testing, and then eventually to production to use in their day-to-day business between here and Fremont specifically, and others. There are a lot of satellite Tesla buildings in the area, including over at the Victory Logistics Center in Fernley. Anyways, here are these. I believe these are end-of-line employees pulling these new semis into the mega chargers. You can see 3 cabinets there, and there is a pad for a whole new series of utility electrical cabinets plus Tesla plus Tesla cabinets to support mega chargers. So we're just going to take a look, and we're going to do our circumnavigation. Take a look around. That's Gigafactory 1, the original Gigafactory. That bus that just went by is run by Panasonic, who is co-located up there at Gigafactory 1. As most of you probably know, they build the 2170 cells, and then they pass them over to the other part of Gigafactory 1 where Tesla puts them into battery packs. Here are some subcabs. I think last time I accidentally called them frames. You notice there is a fairing that they've marked as a defect with that big red X. We are now flying down the eastern edge, turning and facing west on the southern perimeter of the building. And there's a first look up there at something very interesting, and we'll get a better look at it. But there was an area that I have speculated in the past might be for a megapack farm, and here we look at it. That is a bunch of work that's been done without my actually being able to notice it. And my other thought could be where they park the semis prior to delivery. Still some production equipment outside. I will say that per Dan Priestley, many of the operations that are currently manual inside the semi line will eventually be automated. So it's not surprising that there still might be delivering and installing automated assembly tools. Here we're flying in again. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to do here at the entrance. So far, not much. Several telehandlers there. Not exactly sure what they might be doing, but they look like they're working on the Section G, which that section that has 2 different elevations is the stamping section. And once again, I forgot to pay any attention to the Big Dawg Tesla Semi that's been parked up on the hill overlooking this project. So I wanted to spend a little time looking at the Big Dawg and the factory behind it. And if you remember, that Big Dawg was originally parked there when they were still doing the steel columns and beams. So it has kept a watchful eye over this whole, almost, I'd say 70% of the project. All those cars, as pointed out by others and myself, are factory workers rather than construction workers. And here we come in on the Big Dawg. There's been some heavy rains in the last week, and you may have seen that retention pond being full of water. Apparently, the stormwater management work they've done has worked very well, and no damage to the area around here, including the roads leading in from the flash flooding that did occur in the area. Good-looking Atlas or Arcus original Semi. No trapezoidal black thingamajiggy on the top. I actually brought them a John Wayne cutout to put inside the Tesla Semi, and somehow it got misplaced. They were going to put it in there, and if you remember, they did put a Easter egg on top of it once for our viewers. Here's that pad that I was talking about. What do you think it's going to be? My first two guesses originally were a Megapack farm field and now perhaps end-of-line vehicle storage after the end-of-line inspections are done and they're ready to be delivered. What else could that be for? Another warehouse on wheels? Certainly. There's that retention pond full of water. Another thing I wanted to point out is last video I pointed out how the Griffin gantry crane was still right there. It's gone. And now it is being used by production workers. Unless, of course, they've installed the gantry crane inside the stamping section, which they have done before, and actually backed us. Sometimes they delivered giant stamping equipment, stamping presses, to the outside and then moved them in. And at least one time in that door right there, they backed in a giant stamping press to a gantry crane that was assembled there on the inside. So I guess there's still a possibility that gantry crane is on the inside. Here's an interesting thing. We've speculated on what these were, these pallet looking things. What I've figured out, and you'll see later, is that these are carriers. These are likely carriers components, and they put in the side arms, as you can see to the left. They put in the vertical posts that allow them to hang from the hanging assembly line, and that assembly line is able to adjust to the correct operator height. And those carriers are for different modules. The frame, battery packs, pneumatic module, the drive axle, and the steer axles. And there you go. You can see where they've taken that raw material, that pallet looking thing on the right, and made these characters. carriers. And there are a lot of carriers, not just these, but these that are on the western edge of the factory, but we'll see more of them as we go down the northern side of the building. So I think there's exponential growth happening inside the factory. Here are stamping press spoils, stuff that is going to be recycled, sheet metal from the stamping presses that is going to be recycled. Lots of individual piles of stuff, POSs. Coming up the western edge of the building to the north. Some heavy-duty HVAC equipment or cooling for who knows what part of the process, potentially fiberglass production. There is the escape ramp in case the unlikely event of a Tesla Semi losing regen and brakes. They can't have it flying off the edge of the pad here. And then there's the NVH equipment or NVH testing road. The semi racetrack, and all along the northern perimeter. And I've sped this up in order to not have a 25-minute video. Actually got it down to about 15. There's more of those carriers. And the red carriers, I think, are the ones that carry the main frame, and the other carriers carry subcomponents for different modules. But you can see those are those same bases, and possibly because there were two different sizes, possibly those are battery module carriers. Those carriers are the largest carriers in the industry, per Dan Priestley. There's the second Milan twin where I used to fly from. It became obvious I needed to move, and there's my Tesla Plaid Model S off-road mode. It is really nice to set the suspension to very high and have it stay, and it geolocates every time I come back to this location. It does it, and here's the squirrel. If you want to see the rest of the squirrel hunt, look for my other video that I posted yesterday, both on X and YouTube. Would be very much appreciated. Here's a little tease of what we saw, but I highly encourage you to watch the entire video. And thank you very much, as always. Your support keeps me going. Occasionally I've been frustrated and considered retiring from my side gig, but I'm going to stick with it because of the excellent feedback I have received.